Hi everyone, I am Dr. B. Vinmayil. In today's video, we are going to see Oliver Goldsmith's She Stoops to Conquer. Oliver Goldsmith is an eminent writer of the 18th century England. He is an Anglo-Irish essayist, dramatist, poet and novelist. He was born as the son of a Protestant clergyman in Ireland. He was brought up in poverty. After obtaining BA degree from Trinity College, Dublin, he moved to Edinburgh to study medicine. At the age of 27, he reached London. He was denied the job of a surgeon in the Navy, so he worked as a hack journalist. As a professional writer, Goldsmith tried various genres. His first collection of essays, titled The Citizen of the World or The Chinese Letters, earned him good reputation. With that, he wrote a novel, which is the only novel he has written. The Vicar of Wakefield proved an instant success of him. The poem The Deserted Village was his next success, and it deals with the sympathy for the people of an Irish village. She Stoops to Conquer is a comedy of intrigue. It was a greater success on the stage than his previous play, The Good-Natured Man, because its lively scenes were so pleasant without any absurd characters. Goldsmith was popular in his own time itself, but only second to Dr. Johnson. He wrote this play, She Stoops to Conquer, with the firm intention of amusing and entertaining the audience. He means that the play has no great social message nor great moral philosophy, but a play which provides fun for an all kind of audience. So it explores the social class and its absurdities and the effects of deception. She Stoops to Conquer is an anti-sentimental comedy. There are three genres which flourished in the period of Restoration. The first one is comedy of manners. These dramas emerged during Restoration period. After the theatres were opened, the superficial habits and manners of the elegant aristocrats are portrayed in the dramas. So their vices, intrigues and outward glamour of their polished behavior were openly, deliberately dealt in the plays. The dialogue, sexual content and social commentary are the predominant elements in comedy of manners. The best example of this kind of drama is Congreve's Love for Love. The second one is sentimental comedy. In the 18th century, the people who were against comedy of manners have written moralistic tales. They deal with the middle class protagonist. The protagonist who is led astray and eventually reformed constitute the plot of the play. Humor was replaced by pathos. The best example is The Conscious Lovers by Richard Steele. The third genre is anti-sentimental comedy. Anti-sentimental comedy is a play which is against the sentimental comedy. These plays focus on high moral standards of upper class family. Instead of talking about the struggles of the protagonist, it satirically portrays their flaws, follies and mischiefs. So these plays consists of disguises, intrigues, ironies. Sheridan's The Rivals is the best example for this kind of plays. These are the characters in She Stoops to Conquer. Let me tell you the plot in a gist. Mr. Hardcastle is the head of the family and his second wife is Mrs. Dorothy Hardcastle. She has a son, Tony Lumpkin, from his first husband, Mr. Lumpkin. Mr. Hardcastle has a lovable daughter named Kate Hardcastle. Mr. Hardcastle is fond of everything which is old and traditional, whereas Dorothy is fond of everything which is fashionable and modern. Her daughter Kate Hardcastle had her education in London, so she is highly fashionable. She wants to be more modern, but as her father dislikes modernity, she dressed herself in the morning as a modern woman and in the night as a homely girl. Hardcastle had one niece, Constance Neville. As a guardian, he keeps all her jewels in the custody of Dorothy Hardcastle. Hardcastle's close friend Sir Charles Marlowe has a son, Marlowe, whose friend is George Hastings. Both live in London. Both are so modern guys. And this Marlowe has folly that he could only speak fluently and play with girls who was of low born families, whereas when it is about people belonging to elite group, he would be very shy. And Hastings and Constance Neville were fallen in love with each other when they had their education in London itself. And Tony Lumpkin's simple trick played on Marlowe and Hastings made the entire play a boisterous one. Let's see this plot one by one. In Act 1, Scene 1, we could see Mrs. Hardcastle's character of being lovable to her husband, at the same time very much fond of whatever is fashionable. She hates old-fashioned home. She hates that as if she is living in a mansion. But Hardcastle says that I love everything that's old, including you, my dear. To which Mrs. Hardcastle says that I am just 40. I gave birth to Tony Lumpkin when I was 20. He is not yet coming of age, so I am not too old. And it's so funny when we hear about her pride talk. And in the next, Tony Lumpkin crosses them and he is leaving the home at night. He was questioned about it. Tony Lumpkin was already in their talk. And he wants to leave home for the Three Pigeons. It is a ale house where he spends most of the time with his friends. But Mr. Hardcastle says that Tony Lumpkin is mere a composition of tricks and mischief. In the beginning itself, the playwright gives hints about each and everyone's character. But the mother who has pampered the son, age-old son, in the name of love and care, she says that my son needs not to learn anything because he has already 1500 a year to spend. These are the fortunes he inherited from his first father, Mr. Lumpkin. When he is of coming of age, he is authoritative to spend those money and marry the girl whom he wants to marry. Next we are introduced to the heroine of the play, Kate Hardcastle. The father, after fed up with those mother and son, he says that they both are incorrigible, they could not be corrected. He focuses on her daughter who is visiting him, and he is informing to her that she will be visited by the groom whom he has fixed for her marriage. And we could see the dialogues of Mr. Hardcastle saying, Marlowe is a scholar, very generous, young and brave, and he is also very handsome. These features have attracted Kate Hardcastle, and she is very much eager to meet him. But only one thing, what Hardcastle says in the last is, Marlowe is most bashful and reserved. And this thing hits Kate Hardcastle because he, according to her, shy husband won't be more friendly. So she wants to meet him with some conflicts in her mind. And in the opening scene itself, we are introduced to Miss Neville, who is the niece of Hardcastle, and Kate very happily shares about her groom, and to that Neville informed that Marlowe is the friend of Mr. Hastings, who is her lover. So both are going to be friends. Kate Hardcastle was very much happy about it. And here you could see the reference of Neville's jewels in the custody of Mrs. Hardcastle. And we also see that for the sake of keeping the jewels with herself, Mrs. Hardcastle has planned Tony to marry Miss Neville, but Tony is not very much fond of Miss Neville, and Neville pretends that she is ready to marry Tony Lumpkin in order to get the jewels back and in order to keep the secret of her love. And in Act 1, Scene 2, we are introduced to the main characters, Hastings and Marlowe. They missed their path to Hardcastle's home. They met Tony Lumpkin in the Three Pigeons. After hearing about the words Hardcastle, when they are discussing about the way, the innkeeper brought those two people to Tony Lumpkin. And Tony Lumpkin, who enjoyed the party, enjoyed drinking and singing along with his fellows, wants to play a trick upon these two guys and also on Hardcastle, as he has insulted him always. He says that they have missed their way to Hardcastle's home. It is far away from this inn, so they can stay in inn without worrying about the destination. And first two of them were hesitant to stay in inn, but the Three Pigeons is not enough for them to stay. There are no rooms. It was informed by Tony Lumpkin, and the innkeeper also plays along with Tony. So they both were directed to Mr. Hardcastle's home as an inn, and they were informed about Hardcastle as a innkeeper who has left his business and who wants to spend time always with the strangers. And in Act 2, we could see Hardcastle, who is ready with his servants to invite the guests. As a host, he trained his servants to meet the groom. But what happens means Hastings and Marlowe insulted him, thinking that he is an innkeeper who is nagging them and who is always trying to attach with him. Hardcastle is very much fond of narrating stories about his past experience in the army. So he told so many stories which are not relevant to the talk of these two young guys. When they are talking about the costumes they have to wear when they are going to meet the bride. Hardcastle was much insulted by their behavior, and they are asking for the menu they are going to prepare, they are going to have for dinner, and they are questioning every menu they have listed down. Their impudent confuses Hardcastle, but to his surprise, Hastings meet Neville. Neville and Hastings planned that this mistake should not be revealed to Marlowe until they are ready with their jewels and horses. Next, in Act 2, we see Hastings and Neville asked Marlowe to meet Kate Hardcastle, for which Marlowe said he is not at all ready to meet a woman who is most important in his life. He wants to postpone the meeting, but Hastings says that they are in the next room. Miss Kate Hardcastle is in the next room. They have come over here to have dinner, and they are getting their horses are fatigued, so they want to give them some rest. So they are staying in the next room. You have to meet her. If you didn't meet her now, she will be mistaking you. So Marlowe accepts and goes to the room, and there Kate Hardcastle is ready to meet Marlowe with all her modern outfit. She meets him. She had a long hair, a big hat, and Marlowe himself is very much shy. He doesn't look at her face even though he spends almost more than 5 minutes with her. After a few minutes, Hastings and Neville leaves the room, leaving Marlowe and Kate Hardcastle alone. Kate believes that she could change Marlowe's bashfulness. Marlowe managed to speak with Kate Hardcastle without any hesitation or without sinus. In the next scene, we could see Tony was pursued by Neville in front of Mrs. Hardcastle, and Hastings, in order to get the jewels from Mrs. Hardcastle, he butters up her with some sweet words. One of the sweet words is, he asks Hardcastle whether Tony Lumpkin is her brother, and she says that jewels are for London women, modern women do not like to wear jewels. And Mrs. Hardcastle ironically saying that my niece, niece Neville, is fond of only jewels, as if she is very old enough. And after Miss Neville and Mrs. Hardcastle leaves, Hastings requests Tony Lumpkin to help him marry Miss Neville. He informs all his plan of getting a good horse for them to elope after getting the jewels from the hands of Mrs. Hardcastle, Tony Lumpkin is also accepting this this deed because he doesn't want to marry Miss Neville. He had in his mind a bed bouncer who is a maid in Three Pigeons. And thank you for your patiently listening. Let's see what happens to their plan, whether Hastings could could take Miss Neville or not in the next video. Thank you for your patient listening.